The fidget spinner has taken the world by storm. It is the toy that is distracting children from screens and giving them a very different play experience. So this morning, we chat to our creative parenting expert and toy judge this morning, Nikki Bush, about this craze and whether it has any educational value or value at all, and how long is it going to stick around? Nikki, very cool discussion this morning, and I'm so glad we are broaching it because not just children, but the world has literally been taken by storm here. What are fidget spinners? Why do you think they have gained the kind of popularity that they have?
Well, I've got a whole selection of different fidget spinners here this morning, Graham, and I mean, I just sit here and I fiddle with them, you know. For me, I just fiddle with them. But what kids are doing is, these are a challenge. They're intriguing, they're fascinating, they want to master them. So what is a fidget spinner? And I think you can see from the selection I've got here, you can have some inexpensive plastic ones, and then we've got some real designer kind of metal jobs here. And some of these are more weighted on the outside, like this is my favorite one, actually. And there's a bearing in the middle, so it can be two-pronged, three-pronged, all sorts of sizes, but generally smaller than the palm of the hand. There's a huge amount of fine motor coordination, spatial planning and problem solving going on here, but they get these spinners spinning and they throw them from hand to hand and they keep spinning. They throw them up in the air, they catch them, they keep spinning. They you know, move them around their body.
These are new skills for the human being.
Yeah, they are actually being incredibly athletic with a fine motor coordination object.
You know, the name itself says a lot, fidget spinner.
Yes.
Was this intended to be that, to kind of be something that you can fidget with, to concentrate harder? What is the educational value? You've mentioned the fine motor skills, but is there a deeper impact, do you think?
Well, apparently, the original designs were created about 5 or 6 years ago and never taken to market. And the original idea about these objects was that they would be very good for autistic children, people with anxiety disorders or ADD.
Okay.
Because they kind of, anybody who's sensory seeking, and you know the executive director who sits there with that little foot tapping, and I want to go, hey, stop it, you're distracting me. So instead of foot tapping, you can actually sit and fiddle with this kind of thing. And for some people, movement is necessary for learning and for concentration. So the original intention of these was actually for people who needed the therapeutic value. Okay.
Does it work?
It actually does. I have to be honest. If I sit and fiddle with this for a couple of minutes, I feel calmer. So for the average person, it makes you feel calmer. And you know, one of the things that we talk about often on the show is screens are great, but how do we get kids off a screen? And this is one of the things that is getting kids off a screen, because I think it's the fascination value. It's also the brain-body connection. So while I'm busy fiddling and faffing with this, I can actually feel my brain being flooded with endorphins. There's happiness hormones being released that are different to what happens to me on a screen.
And I can promise you she is not being paid to endorse this product. Thank you so much for going as in-depth as you have into this discovery. It's cool to see you getting a kick out of this as well. But I've got this vision in my mind of CEOs of companies in high-pressure pitches just walking in with their spinner. But we're going to continue this very interesting chat, get a little deeper into what it could mean for your child, and also the craze element of that is something I'm really interested in finding out a bit more about. But you can let us know what you think of these spinners. Hit us up on our Espresso Morning Show Facebook page.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
So earlier this morning, we started broaching the subject, fidget spinners, why they've become such a massive craze, and now learning more about their therapeutic and educational and fine motor skill value. And I can see you're a convert. Nikki Bush, our creative parenting expert, is loving especially your particular one there. But when we look at this as being a craze, why has it taken off in the way? Because you said they've been around for a while, but now they really seem to be a craze.
Yeah, so they hit the States in December, and they hit our shores about a month or so ago, and suddenly you see all these kids using them. Everywhere. One of the reasons why they are so popular is because they're so accessible. So
now you're seeing so much value in these. Why are schools banning them?
So yes, the educational value from fine motor coordination to actually stimulating the tips of
Being
the
tactile,
fingers.
yeah.
Very tactile, very multi-sensory play experience. The problem is that it's all very well if 2 or 3 kids who have ADD or whatever are using them as a learning assistance tool. But when you have 35 kids in a class all sitting there in front of the teacher spinning an object, I think that must be hell of a distracting.
Thinking with half of their mind as well.
You know, it is supposed to be a tool that leads to concentration, but I think when there's an en masse, you know, group playing with them, it will be distracting for the teacher, let alone anybody else. So I think that that's why they're being banned from classrooms. Also, if you take these metal ones, these, if they're used as missiles in the playground, could be quite dangerous.
I mean, we've seen a
be
lot
very
of
careful.
crazes go south when they enter onto the schoolyard.
So I think basic common sense applies. If there's too many in a classroom, they can't be used.
Yeah.
The kind of kids who should really be using them are the kids who should be sitting on those balls or foam wedges or using a stress ball for anxiety during class. Those are the kids who really need them. If I was a teacher, I would be a bit smart. And I'd say, right, we've got a double period of science right now. When we hit the middle, then we're going to take them out, and for 2 minutes we can wake up our brains and we can have a little competition or something, and then we're packing them away. And then just the same as in the classroom at home, we also need some boundaries. I wouldn't have these at my dinner table. You also need to teach children when it's appropriate to take them out. So places of worship, no.
Yeah.
In restaurants where it might be distracting to other people, no. If it's not a child-friendly restaurant.
For sure,
so, you know,
yeah.
just use some basic common sense.
And I love the fact that it can be used as a practical tool. So rather be proactive, rather than just banning, like you've added, be commonsensical about it and use them as a positive learning aid. Use them to engage your child.
Yes, and the other thing is if you actually start Googling like fidget spinners and maths, teachers are actually starting to create games using fidget spinners and numbers. Yeah. So, you know, there's a lot to be said. I just think there's a lot of educational value, a lot of therapeutic value, and a lot of fun to be had.
It's just cool, man.
We're
Just say it,
looking for
Nikki. It's just
fun.
really
It's
cool.
It's fun,
new
you know.
Toy. Oh, I love it. Thank you again so much for really putting this little gizmo to the test. The fidget spinner seems to get 2 thumbs up, but it's got to be used in the right way. Use this as an opportunity to learn and to engage your child's senses, but make sure that common sense plays a role as well.